Rehash 2016, presented by the Guam Power Authority.
All right, time to rehash the top 10 stories of 2016. It was a busy year. Let's get right to it, beginning with number 10 on our countdown, the Hemlani Harmon Apartments.
And I actually covered this story, and it's interesting because this is down the street from our Harmon studios. And the incident here was an individual at the Harmon Apartments. They assaulted a police officer, and ultimately this led to like a whirlwind of events after. Right. This led to what we believe is deportations and commuted prison sentences, and we're seeing over a dozen individuals deported and commuted as a result, not just from Hemlani Harmon Apartments, but overall in the community. We're trying to lower down the prison numbers, trying to make Guam streets safer. And so yes, the Hemlani Harmon Apartments, again, next door. The police officer was assaulted. Again, there's also other programs. There's a Neighborhood Watch program.
Exactly.
Now, there's good news. There's resolution out of this story. There's the Neighborhood Watch program. There's also the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam who are getting involved.
Number 9 on our countdown was the bomb scares that plagued all the public schools, and then it moved into commerce. Some of the hotels and the malls were evacuated. I remember that so vividly because I was actually, once I posted something online, another bomb scare was called in, and it led to a meeting that the media had with the FBI, and then we also did a special on KUAM TVA.
And that's another thing that kind of just escalated because it started out really slow with just a bomb scare or a bomb threat found in the girls' bathroom, I think it was, at one of the schools. And then next day another school, and pretty soon it was dozens and dozens of schools and shopping malls and hotels, so also escalated. But then there was that resolution at the end also.
Number 8 on our countdown, senatorial raises.
Yeah,
it seemed like it wouldn't go away.
It was actually last year when they voted down the proposal to cut senator raises, and what a difference a year makes, right?
Yeah.
2 weeks after the election, senators reconsidered the bill again on session floor, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, it passed overwhelmingly. There was some debate. Some were saying it didn't impact the election, but it seems like that's what it was everyone was talking about this election season. So the raises were reduced to $55,000 to what they were in 2010. It still waits the governor's signature, but it seems like with the overwhelming amount of support by the senators in the legislature that it most likely will go through to the next term.
All right, well, let's take a look at those stories.
In June of 2016, 2 police officers were attacked when they responded to a report at Hemlani's Harmon Apartments. The incident was the beginning of bringing change to what had become a haven of criminal activity.
We're going to look at the stats to figure out how many times we've responded there, the frequency of the calls, the types of calls, what exactly we need to bring to the table to be able to address this.
Sometimes there's a problem.
Gov Guam and other community partners like Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam rallied to address the problems at the troubled Harmon apartment complex.
There's youth who are disengaged because they live in a very urban area. There's no place for them to play. They can't play basketball in the parking lot. They can't play anything because there's just no space. There is an alcohol abuse problem among youth. It's no secret. You go there and you see teenagers getting drunk in the corner. There's a lack of parental supervision.
And aside from getting to the root of the issue, residents also came together, forming a Neighborhood Watch program. From Simon Sanchez High School up in Jigo to Southern High School down in Santa Rita, the island's public schools were plagued with bomb threats. This inundated emergency response officials with numerous false alarms.
And I can sense the frustration in the students because when we were at time at Simon Sanchez, every student was walking in without a bag, carrying 5 to 6 books, juggling all their other stuff they had to carry because they had a no bag policy. You can sense the frustration. And it is going to have to take their culture to fix this situation. When I say the culture, it's the student population culture that has to put a stop to this.
The bogus calls would also disrupt local commerce and tourism, as bomb threats were called to shopping malls as well as local hotels.
You know what? It's terrible. I mean, it's a big injustice. First they targeted the students, and that's crazy, for the kids. And now we're worried today because even at the reunion, we have a lot of mononcles and persons with disability that had challenges getting out of the ballroom.
And this is terrorism because there has been a dysfunction and a disruption in our community.
The threats were investigated by local and federal authorities. It may have failed back in 2015, but this year, Senator Brant McCready's bill to repeal senatorial raises passed by majority vote on session floor. The legislation excludes senators from the Competitive Wage Act, reducing their senators to what they were in the year 2010, $55,000 a year. Senators currently make around $85,000 a year. The bill passed with a vote of 13 for and 2 against. The 2 against being Senators Tom Atta and Jim Espaldon. Meanwhile, Senator Mike Sinicolas plans to introduce legislation, likewise repealing raises for the governor, lieutenant governor, and political appointees in his next senatorial term.
And welcome back to our rehash of the top 10 stories of 2016. Moving on to number 7, we had the unfortunate and tragic incident involving a popular surfer, Brian Cruz.
And this was a very untimely death. He was out with his friends one weekend, and days later he was found. He was found unconscious. He had passed away because of head injuries he had sustained that night. He went out with his friends. His 3 friends were J.C. White, Alfredo Castro, and Rich Regadio. They were arrested as a result of his death. But what's most interesting here for KUAM was the video that surfaced, the surveillance video of the incident, of the actual punch that Brian Cruz sustained. And so I guess as the media, we had that responsibility. Do we show it? Do we not? So again, that was really, really controversial for us.
Number 6 on the countdown was war reparations. I've been covering this story, Nestor, you too, for so many years.
This is definitely a landmark decision that was, or actually event that occurred. And as you say, it's been how many years, decades. But of course, the devil is in the details. And so I guess once they impanel the commission that's going to ultimately decide how the money is going to be distributed, that's when we'll really be able to see the full impact of this decision by Congress.
Number 5 on our countdown, fatal fire in Jigo kills 5 sisters, and this story was just so tragic. I remember I actually was there the night it happened, so I covered that story, and I live right around the block from where this fire took place in Jigo, and it was actually our photographer's first breaking story. So you can just imagine Whisper just, oh wow, I can't believe this is happening. It's things like this. Well, not of this magnitude happen, but it's our job in the media to kind of separate for a moment, your emotions from the story. And you covered
it was very,
as well.
very sad. And trying to speak with the family at their time of loss and trying to still be sympathetic, but trying to figure out what happened. Again, what started this fire was an unattended candle, and I think that's the lesson for everyone at home, is to be very, very cautious about how about your home, your surroundings, and it's still under investigation. But there was rumors about how it started as well, if the girls were locked in. So we never confirmed that. But again, the fire was sourced to a unattended candle. 5 young sisters. Oh my gosh, really sad story. Saddest story, I think, on one of our top 10.
But the other side of that is the fact that the entire community came forward and helped this family.
The mayor's office was overflowing with donations, and they were even able to raise enough money. The boot drive The boot drive throughout all the intersections raised enough money to bury the girls and have them each with an individual casket.
I know that around that time too, it's fire prevention month, so they really stepped it up in terms of getting the word out about, you know, how important it is to check your fire alarms, to have a fire safety plan, and really the Guam Fire Department really stepped it up in terms of trying to get the word out and making sure that even though, you know, the houses aren't, you know, that
Substandard homes,
yes,
right.
that they're equipped with some sort of either plan or fire alarm.
And again, their message this year was, hear the beep where you sleep. So that's a smoke alarm where you sleep. Again, it was middle of the night, late at night, they were sleeping, they were trapped inside the tin house with no running water or power.
Well, let's take a look at those stories.
It was a night out with friends, celebrating and having fun on a typical Guam Friday night. But then something went terribly and ultimately tragically wrong. Surveillance video caught the altercation as J.C. White was shown punching his friend Brian Cruz, who fell to the ground. Court documents state that 3 men, including Richard Regadio and Alfredo Castro, picked up Cruz, put him in the back of their car, and drove to Linda's Cafe to eat. There, a riot broke out, leading to the arrest of several other people, with police finding Cruz unconscious in the back seat. Cruz died days later at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The year 2016 finally brought a victory to Guam's decades-long battle for war reparations. At the time of this taping, the reparations were included in the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act, sitting before the president, who likely will sign it. The act authorizes excess Section 30 monies to go towards paying war claims. But Guam Congressional Delegate Madeline Berdallo and her staff say they'll work with the Trump administration to hold Guam's treasury harmless in the payment of claims. Realistically, it wouldn't be until 2018 that claims would actually start to be paid. On the evening of September 26th, Guam recorded one of the deadliest fires in its history. 8 children, some teenagers at home sleeping, but only 3 managed to escape.
We can confirm that there were 5 fatalities, all minors, all part of one family, all siblings.
All of the victims were girls, with their ages ranging from 3 to 16. Neighbor Dorian Spiss saw the first sign of flames and could hear the screams for help. By the time he grabbed his phone to call for assistance, the wood and tin structure was completely engulfed in flames.
They were inside the house. Then all of a sudden, gone. Maybe like 3 minutes and then there's no more. I cannot hear nobody.
The Guam Fire Department would ultimately rule the fire to be accidental. The fire was sourced to an unattended candle that ignited surrounding combustible materials in the structure that had no running water or power. Family identified the girls as sisters Maya, Maylene, May N, Rona, and Rinsan. Their parents were not at home at the time of the fire. In the wake of the tragedy, the community stepped forward to help provide donations of food, clothing, and other essential necessities, as well as over $15,000 in monetary donations.
Welcome back to our countdown of the top 10 stories of the year. Number 4 in our countdown was Decision 2016.
Yeah, well, a lot of the congresswomen, a lot of the mayors, public auditor Doris Brooks, they were reelected. For the legislature, it's a major change as 7 incumbents were unseated, I guess you could say. Speaker Judy Wampat, Roy Respicio, Narissa Underwood, Senator Tina Munoz-Barnes, Frank Bloss Jr., Tony Atta, and Brant McCready. What a lot of names, right? And a lot of those were interesting enough for leadership positions. So there's bound for a lot of change in the 34th Guam legislature in the next term.
Also big changes in national politics. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
The local legislative results were a shock to me, but even more shocking, I think, to the whole country was Donald Trump is our president this year. So that was totally unexpected. No one thought, maybe a year ago that he even had an outside chance, and he will be now the most powerful man in the world.
And this is the first year Guam didn't predict it with a straw vote.
That's right.
We were,
Yeah. And then on top of all of that, GEC, I think this was like the quickest in terms of getting results was like 3 batches?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were done
Before midnight? Just around midnight?
Yeah, it was
A little after midnight.
Yeah, it was really quick. So good job, Guam Election Commission. Number 3 in our countdown, the John Fernandez contract controversy.
Okay, so here at KUAM, we call this the superintendent scandal or the superintendent saga because it's been going on for so many months, almost half a year now. And so it started with an accusation against John Fernandez that came to the Guam Education Board. And it was mixed in with a student sexual harassment complaint, mixed in with a blackmail allegation against the accusers. And most recently, there was another actually allegation from the same accuser against the now acting superintendent. So this story has just taken all kinds of twists and turns, and it eventually led to a $7 million lawsuit that's now in the district court. So I guess we'll just have to see where that takes us this year.
Right. And number 2 in our countdown, FestPac, Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. That was amazing. I mean, I went to the opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies. I'm so glad I got to go to some of the.
We couldn't even get in. It was so packed.
Yeah. Again, it was packed, as you said, but it was so nice to see all these different cultures come together. You didn't really hear any bad news. Well, I mean, aside from the opening ceremony. But I mean, I think for the most part, everybody came together after that. You know, the opening ceremonies and the fiasco with the water, but I don't know.
I think that, you know, the cultural pride that it was palpable. You could see people just really coming out and supporting all of the cultures.
And it was truly a revitalization of our capital city. Yeah, we saw the museum come up. We're seeing the Guam Legislature, the new Guam Legislature building come up. And then also everyone's favorite part about FestPac, I'm just going to say it, hashtag Rapa Nui. I mean, that was they were the most photographed, most videoed visiting group. I mean, shout outs to all the delegations, but this had to be the people's favorite.
Yeah. I think it was definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, we don't get to travel to all of these different islands, so it was kind of a chance to experience all the cultures without actually going there.
I know that was around the time too that we started to do Facebook Live, and a lot of the videos that Sabrina was taking, whether it would be the boats coming in, the pros coming in, and the ceremonies. I mean, people, a lot of our local, you know, from abroad, you know, watching it. I mean, they were so
they were tearing up. Excited. We got a lot of really great comments.
Connected with people that are Chamorros and other cultures not from here, so yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And then I know that afterwards there was like the FestPac withdrawals. You know, it was like, what do we do now? What do we do?
Yeah, I used to go when I used to go to a paseo. I used to like think about like the huts and like everything that's there.
Well, let's take a look at those stories.
Fresh new faces will enter the Guam legislature in the year 2017, ushering in a new era of leadership.
I'm so shocked, but very humbled, I'm so grateful to the people of Guam for hearing me and giving me a chance and really putting their faith and trust in me. It's really humbling.
The Democratic Party is the People's Party, and that's our first priority, is to really work for the people of Guam and to help them in their needs and in whatever situations that they're struggling through.
This victory doesn't belong to me, it belongs to a lot of good people who stuck with me since 2014, and our message is clear that we're all in. We're all in to do good things.
I'm honored. Now the work begins. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And I just thank you for believing me. Thank you for giving me a chance to prove myself.
But Guam's local elections were not the only big story. As the star of NBC's The Apprentice and billionaire businessman Donald Trump took to the White House, defeating former Secretary of State and former First Lady of the United States, Hillary Clinton.
Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead.
To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people.
This year started out promising for Superintendent John Fernandez, as his contract was renewed for 4 more years. But only a few months after that contract was signed, he was terminated, and now his future lies in the hands of the District Court of Guam. After being terminated by a majority vote of the Guam Education Board, Fernandez is suing his ousters not only in their official capacities, but also in their personal capacities. He says he was wrongfully terminated and seeks $7 million in damages. They came from all over the Pacific.
Papua New Guinea is
a country located north of Australia.
Delegations from almost 30 Pacific Island nations and territories converged on Guam for the 12th Festival of the Pacific Arts.
Oh, we're really enjoying it so far. We really love this place here, Guam. So it's our first time, and everyone is just enjoying.
From May 22nd through June 4th, the entire community came together to host our visitors. Public schools were used as lodging sites, with each village hosting a fiesta for their assigned delegation. But more importantly, everyone came together to show their Pacific pride. Beginning in 1972, FestPac only happens every 4 years. Guam had the largest delegation with almost 500 strong. Several people comprised of the diaspora of Chamorro artists who live off island, who came home for the 2-week-long celebration of culture. Javen Chargaloff, originally from Inarahan, flew home from San Diego.
I'll be dancing. You'll see me, can't miss me. Long hair, I'll be in the front.
The next FestPac is scheduled to take place in Hawaii in the year 2020.
Welcome back to Rehash 2016. Before we get to our number 1 story of the year, let's recap what we have so far. At number 10 was the Hemlani Harmon apartments. Number 9, the bomb scares. Number 8, senatorial raises. Number 7, Brian Cruz, the tragic beating and his subsequent death. Number 6, war reparations. Number 5, the fatal fire in Jigo that killed 5 sisters. Number 4, decision 2016. Number 3, the John Fernandez contract. And number 2, FestPac. And our number 1 story of the year was the Catholic Church controversies, and there were just so many.
So many, at least 12 lawsuits filed against the church. At least of this reporting, Bill 326, if you recall, that's very controversial legislation that ended up passing unanimously and then getting the approval, the signature of Governor DeCalvo. That lifted the civil statute of limitations for child sex abuse, which opened the door, which opened maybe the Pandora's box for the church, and now face unlimited financial liabilities. But you know what, the overall message I'm feeling, the overall feeling I'm having with this story is that people are ready, even though the church may be sued, churches may potentially be closed, that everyone's ready to rebuild the church from the ground up. And we're going to actually see that, I think, with our new coadjutor Archbishop, Michael J. Burns, who shows a lot of promise for Guam, and people have a lot of faith in him. And you're even seeing the protesters put their signs down so that they can go to Mass. So
I think there was definitely a lot of division in the church before this happened, like the seminary, the allegations by the Concerned Catholics of Guam, which turned out to actually be true. And also, with Archbishop Anthony Efron leading the church, there was a lot of controversy.
And updates with him is that he's likely in Rome and he's going to face a canonical trial. So we're going to see if he's guilty or not guilty. But here at home, he's still also facing civil suits for child sex abuse
and the defamation lawsuit.
I think this is one of those rare stories that kind of resonates and will resonate for generations to come. I don't think this is just the story of the year. This is the story of decades, the generation. This is truly an event that is going to change so many things on Guam, and it already has.
And these allegations, they stem from incidents 30, 40 years ago. And so we're seeing a lot of people come forward, and they're saying they're healing. They're healing because they're able to share their stories. And so the church is trying to figure out how to respond, what they're going to do next with these lawsuits, what's next. So 2017, big things in store for the church.
And I just have to say, being a Catholic, it really hurt down to my core when I heard the first allegations, come out about the whole child sex abuse, and I just.
It was just one shocking event after another. I mean, this is literally something that you could put in a Hollywood movie. It's a Hollywood script.
This is very parallel to the movie Spotlight, which won a lot of awards, which also talked about church, clergy, child sex molestation.
And I think that, the church has taken steps to provide some accountability, but I think people want to know more, see more. Like there was even that, Father Luis Camacho in the past who was seems like he was just moved to another country. So they just want to know what's some follow through with these cases. Are these priests being reprimanded? There's also that priest who was still being paid by the church.
Yes, Father Louis Brilliard.
And the allegations don't just go from the sexual abuse, but also to the RMS. That's kind of, there's a lot of controversy with that as well. So it wasn't just the allegations, but as Nestor mentioned, it's the makings of a Hollywood movie, but it was so emotional, like a lot of their detailed accounts. A lot of them were similar, and it's like stuff you can't really make up.
You can't make up the tears in their eyes. I mean, I was there. I was crying with them, and this was also an interesting time for these stories to surface, was because we were on Facebook Live. We could suddenly bring the people at home or people at their offices. We can bring them to these testimonies, these live testimonies, and the press conferences that followed by the church. And we can also bring you to church, which was just a new thing for us. I was holding the cell phone in mass, and you could see our interim Archbishop, Sabiahan Taifag, and we had him as an interim Archbishop. Now he's gone back to Rome, and now we have Archbishop Burns. So again, 2017, I'm excited to see the developments in this Catholic Church story.
And if I can plug, we talked about this in our own internal meetings, is 2016 for the news media, for KUAM, showed the power of social media and how journalism is kind of making that, paradigm shift into, because like Chris said, FB Live and all the viewerships, and people are expecting that. So this was, I think, maybe one of those years where this will start, making that transition.
And our jobs will get harder. Yeah, because we're not just there to do a story for 6 p.m. It's Instagram, it's Facebook Live, Snapchat. We had for a little bit Periscope, so we're exploring all these different medias.
Right, well, we thank you so much for watching and look for bigger and better things in 2017 from the KUAM News Team.